If you've ever wondered what Paris is really like in the winter, then this video is for you. Winter in Paris is definitely quieter. You're going to have less crowds. It's calmer, and not having as many people in the city or as many tourists in the city is going to make it easier for you to be able to navigate the city. It is cold though. It rarely snows in Paris, but if you do happen to be there when it snows, it's amazing. It's so beautiful. But normally there's no snow and it does rain and it is cold. It is quite cold. So you want to make sure that if you're going to head to Paris during the winter time, that you have the right clothing. Because when you're cold and you're exploring around the city, it does change the experience, but it doesn't have to make it worse. It's just different. So you want to make sure that you are layered up properly. If you are someone who gets cold, then you may want to have on some long johns. You want to have a scarf for sure. You want to have gloves. You may even want to get some hand warmers. If you have on a hat, and you definitely want a nice thick coat, because Paris is a city that really, in my opinion, is best explored on foot. So if you're going to be walking around in the wintertime in Paris, you want to make sure that you are as comfortable as possible when dealing with the cold. And because you're going to be walking a lot, you want to make sure that you have on very comfortable shoes. In Paris, there's a lot of cobblestone and uneven sidewalks. So walking around in high heels is probably not going to be the best bet for you. So you want to get some shoes that are very comfortable, but you want them to keep your feet warm. So a good pair of boots would be great. So since one of the biggest advantages of visiting Paris in the winter is the fact that there's less tourists, then things like the museums aren't going to be as crowded. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to be crowded, because Paris is a city that so many people like to visit, but it won't be as many people as it normally would be if you were visiting in summer, which I'd never suggest you visit Paris in the summer. I'll do another video about that. In wintertime, restaurants are easier to get into. Again, now if you are going to Paris because you want to try the trendy restaurants, or those restaurants that have gone viral on TikTok or Instagram, well then that you may have the same problem. But Paris, there's so much more to enjoy in Paris than any trendy restaurant. So if you're just walking down the street and you stumble upon a little hole-in-the-wall restaurant that has like 4 tables, I promise you that's going to be better than any internet sensation. And when you're walking around in the cold, you're seeing people with their families, Parisians, picking their kids up from school. Everything in winter just seems to be a little slower, because Paris is a very fast-moving city, but it is a city that is, in my opinion, it's best to be enjoyed at a slower pace. It doesn't make a difference what time of year you go as far as in the pace of your trip. But in winter, it's probably going to be a little slower because it's going to be cold. Now, if you go in January, January is a special month in Paris, because that's the only time in Paris, well, in all of France, where you can get the galette de roi, or king cake is what it's called. That's done in a couple of countries, but in France, it is in January, and January is the only time where you can get your galette. I recommend if you get the galette, you can get it at a bakery, at a boulangerie, patisserie, and it has this delicious filling on the inside with flaky crust, and they have a little king in the middle of the galette, and whoever gets the king wins. If you get one, please make sure that you do. I like to take mine home, take mine back to my apartment, heat it up, and I like to drink mine with milk because it's really good. Winter is ideal for indoor Paris experiences, because when you go other times of the year, a lot of places in Paris aren't great on the air conditioning. So if you're going in winter, you're not going to have to worry about that. Museums, department stores, covered passages, cafes, and bakeries are all places that during the winter time, in my opinion, you can experience them differently. And because it's so cold outside and Paris is so beautiful, even the insides of their buildings are beautiful. If you're in a museum or a department store, or you're walking through a covered passage, you're not going to feel like you're missing out on anything. You're not going to feel like, well, let me duck into this place and just pass the time until I can get back outside in the streets. No, you you won't have that because those places are also beautiful. Seeing those, that's a trip in and of itself. When sometimes if you're going to Paris if you're in Paris when the weather is ideal, a lot of times you just want to be outside. Nothing wrong with that. But sometimes there could be this, oh, I want to be out. I want to be walking around. I want to see all the things. Oh, but I do want to go to this museum. Oh, but I don't want to be inside because it's such a nice day outside. If you're in winter, you don't have to worry about that because it's cold. So you want to be inside. Now, there are some drawbacks to going to Paris in winter. I'm not going to say it's always a great experience. But if you know what you're dealing with, then you can plan accordingly. So rain is much more common than snow. Snow is not very common in Paris anymore. If you do have waterproof shoes and you want to make sure that you have an umbrella, that will help. And you don't need to have one of those big, huge umbrellas, especially if you're going to be walking around on the streets of Paris. A small umbrella that can just cover you. Because if you have an umbrella that is too big and you're walking down the street, you're going to have to then hold the umbrella up so it won't hit other people. So just have an umbrella that is a small size that can cover you. Winter in Paris is not about rushing. It's about warming up often, taking breaks, and enjoying the rhythm of daily Parisian life. So if you like fewer crowds and a calmer pace, and if the thought of traveling to a place like Paris where there's going to be thousands of people, thousands more people in spring or summer, and as much as you want to explore Paris, you do not want to fight all the crowds, then going in wintertime would be really good for you.